So we'll just take a minute to introduce ourselves, and then we'll talk about what we're going to hopefully discuss throughout this meeting. I am Danielle Peabody, and I am the math department chair. And I'm not sure if Ms. Alvarado can talk.
Yes, Maria Alvarado. I am an administrative director of instruction. This is how you all came in today. And I support the math department with Frank Czarzinski.
Okay. And tonight we just wanted to introduce ourselves to the incoming ninth graders and their families, and also just give you some information. We know math can be daunting and there's a lot of questions about maybe their math class. And so we wanted to give you as much information as we could at the beginning, and then you guys can make some choices and decisions as your family as we start the summer and we start the new year. So we're going to kind of go through a lot of information tonight. If we have time, we'll take some questions, but we'll have our email address at the end, and you'll always be free to email us as well with individual questions. There are a lot of us in here tonight, so I don't want to take up a large amount of time with questions, but I know that the chat is also being monitored, and they'll try to lump some of those questions together. We don't have a sign in tonight. We have the participant list. And then also we will have a few things going out over the next week or so that you can sign up depending on what makes sense for your family. So let's go ahead and get started. And Ms. Alvarado, please feel free to step in at any point if I'm forgetting something.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay. So just to share with you our department vision and kind of what we all strive to do in the math department. So we want to build proficient students, prepared to meet the demands of college and career, and apply mathematics in the real world by ensuring that all students have access to high-level math courses. Now, this will mean different things for different students. This, high-level course might be Algebra 2 to one student, it might be Calc BC to another. And so we want to be able to challenge each student individually and to meet them where they are, but also to build students who are just mathematically minded, that they see how math relates to the real world and they enjoy math, because we all love math. We also want to make sure that no matter what level or what happened in middle school, that your student has access to AP or IB courses if they do choose to. Not every student chooses to, and that's okay as well. But we just want to make sure that no matter what happened in middle school, there's one test in middle school that kind of makes those decisions. But if they're willing to work hard and they have the interest in it, they can make these high-level courses. First, we're just going to kind of talk overall. Our department, we work really hard in our department. We're about 26 teachers. And we work on, this year, some of the things that we focused on was professional development on curriculum analysis. So we brought in a new curriculum for geometry this year. We learned new ways. And I personally worked with the California Collaborative to look at how to analyze curriculum in a better way for our students. And so that we're making some good choices for our school. We established some book clubs, so we're up on, latest pedagogies and learning new ways to support students. We've really looked at data analysis this year and to identify gaps in student learning. And then when we found those gaps, we have brought in Mathnasium and Edmentum as programs to help us support those students. And we're always looking at new ways and new ideas of how to support those students in the classroom and outside of the classroom. This is just our course sequencing. It's probably the easiest one to follow. Your student will begin somewhere along this path. Most of the students are coming into Algebra 1 and then as a freshman, and then they would take geometry and then Algebra 2. And really those three classes are set. You can't make any choices for those first three classes. And then from there, you have a lot of choices. So even though we're freshmen and most of you are in those three classes, we want to also show you what you might be looking at for the future. And so after Algebra 2, we have a lot of choices. We have these 2 new classes. This is our first year bringing these 2 classes in, informational data science and PhyCycle, which are 4th year math classes. And they are interest-based. So informational data science does computer science and data analysis. PhyCycle is like a financial literacy course, but also with mathematics. We have CP stats and AP stats. We have CP and AP pre-calc. We have AB calculus and calc BC. And we also have, if you're interested in the IB route, which I know they have their own meetings and seminars to learn more information about. We also have standard level analysis and approaches 1 and 2, standard level applications and interpretations 1 and 2, and then higher level analysis and approaches 1 and 2. So those are 2-year courses. And again, that's a completely separate program for IB. But we also have the middle years program for our beginning courses, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. And if they choose to do the IB program, they would be in those, if it fits in their schedule, they would be put into those specific courses, which just try to bring in the IB way of learning into those math courses. We'll definitely come back to this slide though. Again, I'm not looking at the questions till the end, okay? So graduation requirements, every single one of your students must get through Algebra 2 with a C or better in order to graduate from Granada. So we have very high standards for our students. And so they have to complete Algebra 2 to receive that diploma. Now that doesn't speak to the credits. They also have to earn 30 credits on campus. So if they're coming in Algebra 2, they have to take 3 years of math on campus. They can't just stop at Algebra 2. Of course, we recommend that all students take 4 years of math because colleges like it. And it makes, them more well-rounded. And that's why we offer so many choices for those 3rd and 4th year courses.
Ms. Peabody, can I stop you for a second?
Yes,
so for everybody, if you can put your questions in the Q&A option versus the chat, we will address the Q&A option. So you have an option of asking a question using the Q&A feature. Please use that versus the chat so we do not miss any questions. Thank you. And we will answer them at the end.
Thank you. Yeah, so if your student is really advanced, I've had those students, I have some of those, then they, we will discuss their placement depending on the courses that they have completed. There's not a lot of those students who have already completed those, so we just take that as a case-by-case basis. I did forget to tell you a little bit more about myself, and I am the department chair, and I currently teach geometry and AP Calculus BC, and this is my first year doing the higher level IB course, year 2, and I've taught everything at some point. So, just so you know my background as we're going through this, and then of course, department chair and leading our department for the last few years, and I really enjoyed it. Sorry, I just wanted to give a little bit more of an introduction about myself. So one of the big things is intervention. We have students, that are struggling. They're struggling in middle school, they're struggling in math, maybe it's not their favorite subject. And so we really want to try to catch those students from the beginning. We want them to love math. We want to give them a good experience, a successful experience in math, so that hopefully they are successful in further years as they move into more advanced classes. And so I believe I think it's our 4th year at this point, we have Algebra 1+, and it's for students who are currently enrolled in Common Core Math 8, okay, or an equivalent class, depending on your school. And then meeting these 2 pieces of eligibility. So if they earned a D or F in Common Core Math 8, or we'll talk more about the NWEA in a minute, but if they scored lower than a 220 on that test, then they would really want to consider this class. It is a 2-period course. It does take over one of their electives. It counts as an Algebra 1 credit and as their elective credit. And, these teachers that we have in this class are amazing. They really know how to support those students, to work on the skills of their students, to try to bring them up, and to really help them find success in Algebra 1. Typically, many of these students, when we used to just put them in Algebra 1, they would then fail it and then have to do it again. And there's just this horrible cycle. And so we really wanted to find a way to get, like I said, get them from the beginning. And I think students have really enjoyed this class because the teachers make it fun. I know thinking about a 2-period course of math doesn't always sound fun, but like I said, amazing teachers here, and they really have helped those students understand why they're there and the benefits to this course. And I've really seen those students appreciate it and take advantage of that class. This is something that we'll talk more about STA, but in STA, we give a diagnostic test, the NWEA, to all of our students, okay? So that will just be one of the first things they do in STA is take this test. It's an adaptive test, which means as they get things correct, the questions get harder. As they get things wrong, the questions get easier. And that way, that score is reflective of their math knowledge, or, hopefully it is. And then we use that to kind of identify those students who are struggling. And so that's why when we see a score of lower than 220, that tells us that, hey, these students have some gaps. We'll do further stuff in their classes to figure out exactly those gaps, but they have some gaps. And so we place them in this course during the summer. You do get an email from us that this has been done. And if there's any disagreement, if you don't like it, we are willing to discuss and talk about what's the best thing for your student, because that's all we're trying to do. And so to really figure out what is the best place for them. And so that's one form of intervention as they're coming in to Granada. Another thing that this is for all students, strong or not, they always have those moments where they might struggle. Next year, when they get on campus, they want to look for AHA tutoring, which is after school. It's in the library, and it's typically done by CSUN students or college graduates, and all math levels are level. So this is not our welcome. This is not just for Algebra 1 students. Even if they come in at geometry, but they're struggling in a chapter or a unit or the whole thing, or they're coming in at Algebra 2, they can go to this AHA tutoring. And we want you to know about these tutoring sessions before you start, so that like if your student is struggling right away, we can figure out where to get them help, okay? The other thing that the math department offers is the Math Center, and these are tutoring hours offered by AMP Mentors. So these are other students at Granada, juniors and seniors typically, who have gone through training, enrolled in higher level math courses. And the Math Center is more one-on-one. So AHA tutoring is they are in a larger room. They have to make sure that they go up to the students, the college graduates, and ask for help. But the Math Center is one-on-one. They go there, they find someone who's open, and they really start to connect with different mentors, and maybe go every Tuesday to see the same mentor. And these are all free. These are all offered to all students. And then we also have tutor.com, and it's tutoring that's offered through a partnership. It's this is like after hours. They're at home, they're still struggling with a topic, and this is someone who's online live, and they can guide them through learning something. It's not really supposed to be just homework help. It's supposed to be like, I don't understand how to factor. Can you help me through this? And so that is a third thing that's offered online. Of course, always please talk to the teachers. Our teachers are there to help your students. If they're struggling, they may have different ideas, different places that can also help your students. Okay. During STA, so during this summer, we're starting it early. We don't want to wait until the school year. So during the summer, we are starting Mathnasium during STA, and this is all during the STA hours. And we are just saying, hey, these students we know are struggling. There will be an opportunity in the future to self-identify or self-choose that you're struggling in math. It could be you're in Algebra 1, you're in Math 8, whichever level you're in, and you're like, I know I'm struggling. then you can ask to be placed in Mathnasium during STA, and it's for an hour a day. And you will be working with these Mathnasium tutors. It's a tutor for every like 4 students, and they give their assessment and identify those skills where students are struggling and really work on trying to build some of those skills up before the school year. If you aren't doing Mathnasium, we're still going to work on skills just a little differently. So there's still a focus on skills. We also are worried about preparing your student to be a math student. What does it look like to work in groups? Using the different technology that we like to use, Desmos, Delta Math, and there's a few other things that we introduce. So that's what STA is for the math department. It's not just math. It's also about what we want those students to look like in a math classroom. And our department is really trying to focus on student engagement, student work, working in groups. And so this is a first step to that, and kind of teaching students how to do that. Okay, so that is kind of a general overview of the department, introducing some intervention for all students and for specific students. A lot of you are also here to talk about acceleration. Of course, I encourage everyone to listen in, because you never know what the future brings. And so I'm just going to talk about different options, what, again, acceleration might look like, what we recommend, and different ideas there. Okay, so the first option is, I'm actually going to jump slides here. So this slide is very busy, okay? And this does not include every possibility, but there's a lot of possibilities. So I just wanted to kind of introduce, 1 or 2 choices. So a typical student who is currently in a Math 8 class, no acceleration. You took Math 8 as an 8th grader, regular STA, Algebra 1 as a 9th grader, Geometry as a 10th grader, Algebra 2 as an 11th grader, and then you have your choice of classes as a senior, okay? One of the other options is that we accelerate Algebra 1. So I'm going to look at the bottom here. So that would be this summer, you accelerate Algebra 1. So you accelerate Algebra 1 with STA. Again, we'll talk about what that looks like. So which means you come into 9th grade in geometry, 10th grade Algebra 2. Again, you have a few choices at 11th grade, probably doing CP or AP pre-calculus. And then from there, AP Stats, AB Calc AB, or AP Calc BC. So I'm not discussing right now IB, because they do have their separate meetings. And so I'll let that, please attend those if you're interested in that, because it is a whole different program. So now, if that interests you, and especially this last one of accelerating Algebra 1, okay, we'll speak to that in a second. The other option is you don't accelerate this summer. You take Algebra 1 as a 9th grader, and then next summer you accelerate geometry. Now, I'm a geometry teacher. I love geometry. But this is the route that we recommend. Algebra 1 is just such a strong foundational class. And so we actually really recommend geometry is kind of that odd duck out. And so we really recommend to accelerate geometry next summer and not Algebra 1 this summer. Now we have both options because maybe your student is ready, but there is also the option to wait. Okay, so I just want everyone to keep that in mind as we talk about what you need to do. So all of this is to give you information about your student. We don't know your students. You're brand new to us. And so we are trying to give you the most information so that you can make a good decision, okay? Because these are decisions that will affect GPA, transcripts, and your future in high school. So we want to make sure that you're making the best decision. If you are like, I really want to accelerate Algebra 1 this summer, okay? Then you need to have, it is recommended that you had an A both semesters. So I know you're still in the semester, but if you have an A, you expect to have an A at the end. That's what we recommend, okay, as far as accelerating Algebra 1. We also recommend that when we take that math NWEA test, that you score higher than 235. So once you've taken the test and we get all the information together, we will send you back your results and then also the recommendation with it. So if you score a 230, we will recommend that you not accelerate. Now, you might not like that decision and you're like, no, we know we can do it. They just didn't do well on that test. Then it's still an option. We're not trying to hinder your students. Again, we are trying to give you the best information possible so that you can make a good decision. Okay. We don't want to rely completely on grades because we don't know the teachers. Okay? We don't know exactly what was done, what was covered, how you were scored. And so that's why we're trying to give you a test score to give you additional information. And what we have seen is that students who scored above 235 are typically those who are successful as they move on. This test, we have two options, and I'll give you how to sign up for that. We have one option on Saturday, May 6th. That's really the prime option. That's the one we would love people to show up to because that's where we will have the most room, you'll have the most time, and so on. If you're unable to attend that date, then we're going to have a makeup session on Tuesday, May 14th after school from 4 to 5:30. Okay. I will tell you how to sign up at the end. And then once you have done that, you will receive an email like where to go, what to bring, and so on. There's no studying for this test. It is just what you know. Okay. We just want to, again, have the information so that you can make the best decision. Okay. Now, some of your students were in Algebra 1 as 8th graders. Okay, so this part's for you. So if you were in Algebra 1 as an 8th grader and no acceleration, okay, no change, just STA. So just STA this summer, 9th grade, they'll be in geometry, 10th grade, Algebra 2, 11th grade, their choices, IDS, Phi-Cycle, CP Stats, AP Pre-Calc, and then 12th grade, all the AP classes are available as options as well as our other classes. So if they're already in Algebra 1 8th grade, they can get to Calc BC by 12th grade without any acceleration. If they are really set on acceleration, then they can do geometry this summer with STA. They will come into 9th grade into Algebra 2, AP Pre-Calc from there, AP Calc BC. Now there are more options here. This is just the typical choice because if they accelerated, we assume, well, they like math, they want to do the highest levels. So they would do AP Pre-Calc, AP Calc, AB or BC, and then they can do AP Stats or HL2 from there. And then one route that we are just introducing the last few years was the accelerated option with pre-calc between Algebra 2 and AP Calc, and that would have to be done at a city college as of now. We are still, we don't offer it on campus, but we might by the time your student gets there. Similar to the other accelerated option, we recommend an A in Algebra 1 for both courses. They will take the same NWEA score or NWEA test. But, oh, I forgot it's May 4th. I messed up that date. But we recommend a score of 245 this time. Okay, so same test, but a higher score in order to accelerate geometry. Again, just want to really iterate that, you know, we don't have to accelerate. We will get to Calc BC by 12th grade with this option. With no acceleration. I teach a freshman geometry class and they do so well, but I also have students who accelerated last summer and who truly struggle going into geometry in 9th grade. These, you know, if you are choosing this option, your students should really like math. They should want to spend time learning math because not only are they accelerating this summer, but they're going into a more advanced class as a freshman when they're learning about high school, how to be a high school student. So just really think about that. So when I say it affects their GPA, it's not just the summer class that it's affecting, it's the classes that follow. You know, if they can, well, they got through Algebra 1 this summer, but now they're really struggling in geometry as a ninth grader because that's a higher level. Maybe that's just too much acceleration. So just really taking those concepts and ideas in before you were making these choices. And just remembering all accelerated courses are in person on campus. They meet for 4 hours daily for 6 weeks. And during Summer Transition Academy, they meet for 6 hours. Okay, so that's for 3 weeks at 4 hours and 3 weeks at 6 hours. So this is what it looks like. From June 11th through June 28th, they will meet just for math from 10:20 to 3 p.m. And then between July 1 and July 19th for STA, they will meet from 8 to 3. So that includes their English STA and the math class. And they'll do all the other STA incorporated into it. So they don't have to do STA math separately. They will do the registration and the meetings and all that within that class. And don't forget that school, the new year starts on Friday, August 9th. Okay. If I didn't scare you off and you're still interested in this, I will have the sign in at the end, sorry. So I forgot to say this. So why accelerate? Well, like I said, your kid loves math. I accelerated in high school because I love math. I could do math all day. I could do math all summer. I loved it. Make sure your kid likes math. It's a very fast course. So realize in 6 weeks, the accelerated course, they're doing like 3 topics a day. They're doing a whole year's worth of material in 6 weeks. And that grade goes on their high school transcript. It will be their first grade to go on their high school transcript. So we want them to start off strong. They must earn a C or better. So if they take the summer course and take a D, they're taking it again in the fall. So these are all things to keep in mind when we're talking about acceleration. If you're still interested, the test is on May 4th at 9 a.m. The additional time offered, if you can't make it, is May 14th at 4 p.m. And they should last about an hour and a half. It's not a timed test, but that's about typical for our students when we give it in class, okay, or less. If you decide to take this class, it's the same. I'll share a link. Where should I share it, Maria? In the chat?
Sure, yes.
Okay. So this link is for acceleration. If you are interested in acceleration, then please go through that link, sign in. You may have already done it because it was attached to the original email. Okay, so if you've already done it, you don't need to do it again. And we will use this to send out information about the accelerated testing. Okay, once that testing is done, then we will send out results and information about how to register for the summer program. Okay. And then I'll take some questions now on the Q&A, but also feel free to email me if you have any additional questions. So I'll take a look.
Do you want me to read them to you? Or there's a few that you answered by now.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things, yes, that was a typo. We apologize. The test is Saturday, May 4th.
Yeah.
And then May 14th. And then we will, did you send out the link yet, Ms. Peabody? Yes.
I did put it in the chat.
So Ms. Peabody put the link in the chat. Another frequent question that I can answer, we will make the presentation available to you. This meeting is not mandatory. It is we highly recommend it because you gather so much information. You're already working, if you want the accelerated course, you're already working on that, making sure you're getting in on those testing dates, but it is not mandatory. We will make the slides available to you. Mm-hmm. Okay, do you want to take some questions?
Yeah, is Trig and Pre-Calc combined? We don't offer separate courses. Our Pre-Calc, Trig is incorporated into Algebra 2 and into Pre-Calc. So the Common Core Standards incorporated a lot of Trig in there, and then Pre-Calc takes over the rest of the stuff. The IB curriculum, it's just, so in 9th grade, it's the same. It's just that they have separate classes. So they have a 9th grade IB class, a 10th grade IB class. Mostly they keep them separated by grade levels so that we can try to incorporate things specific to that grade level. But nothing, I mean, the curriculum is the same, the standards are the same. We just approach things a little differently. Okay. If you have a B in geometry right now, since you're not taking an accelerated course, then yes, as long as you have a C or better, then you're moving on. So we just wouldn't allow you to accelerate if you have a B in Algebra 1 or a B in your current class. But if you're currently in geometry and you have a B and you pass it, then you would move on to Algebra 2. Let me write this as I do it, so I know I've answered them. I have no clue about health class. Please contact your counselor. I don't know about that stuff. And can we get textbooks, detailed study guides next week? So again, there's no test prep if that's what we're looking for. It's just, we just want to know where they're at. So there's no preparation for the tests, just whatever they're doing in their current classes, come in with that information and do their best. Because that's all, our students take this test too, twice a year as a way for us to kind of gauge where they're at. And it's not about studying for it. Okay, we just want to see where they're at. And the form should be in the chat if you saw that.
Yes, I reposted it. Okay. So everybody, I'm hoping you can see it now.
Yeah. We probably will wait to give results until after the 14th test. So give us about a week after that versus one set of results for the 4th and one for the 14th. So we'll probably send them out within a week after the 14th. Okay. I'm not sure, tutoring only on Tuesdays?
So AHA meets Monday through Friday. So there's tutoring with AHA Monday through Friday. And then the Math Center is Monday through Thursday, correct?
Yes.
And tutor.com is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they can log in anytime to get that support.
Someone asked what STA is. It's Student Transition Academy. So all incoming freshmen or all incoming students are required to take it. It's a 3-week course that they will have to take. It includes 2 hours for English, 2 hours for math. And like I said, we do skills, but we also do getting used to the campus. They do a tour of the campus. They do Rachel's Challenge. They do registration. We do some language testing as well if they want to higher level for like Spanish. So we get a lot of stuff done in STA so that they come in August without having to do all that stuff then. And we can just kind of hit the ground running in our classes.
Familiarizing themselves with the campus.
Yeah. And they connect with new students. So they get to meet incoming freshmen. It's all freshmen on campus. So they kind of get to see what the campus is before they have to deal with everyone else. So it's a really good experience for them and they make friends and yeah. If my student is ELS, should you take a math class in summer? Again, we don't, at least for incoming students, there's no remediation that's not STA. So we don't have separate classes if they're struggling. We will deal with that stuff within STA. So the only separate math classes we offer are acceleration. Okay.
So can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, I may not have understood it.
Summer trend, there's a lot of parents asking what STA is and what NWEA is. NWEA is the name of the test. NWEA MAP testing. It's not an acronym. That's what they call it. STA is the Summer Transition Academy, and then
okay.
And there's no registration. The expectation is that your child will attend. It is a mandatory part of the program. And
they can't, like, if they have to attend for graduation, like they will not let them graduate without STA being done. So, and they get credits for it. So it is something that they need to do. I didn't talk in there, and I think I saw it in here, was attendance during summer school. So realize that like missing a day of summer school is like missing 3 days of class or more. So I think they're only allowed, is it 1 day, Maria?
Mhm. One
Yeah.
day, it cannot be the first day. The first day is crucial.
Or the last day. You have to be there for the
Mhm.
final. So,
And tardies are also considered an absence if they're for longer than 15
and that's to get them used to the campus too, because if they're tardy for our classes during the school year, it's counted as an absence and they're not allowed in. So it's something to get them used to that. Okay, is placement in Algebra 2 or Geometry based on the 8th grader's second semester grade only? Algebra 1 accelerated class? If yes, what grade is acceptable? Again, A. They got to have an A in that. You're talking about for acceleration, right? I think you're asking about acceleration. So if they are asking to accelerate, then they had to have an A the previous year. If you're asking just to move on, then a C or better. So it's two different things. So yes, if you are currently in Algebra 1 as an 8th grader, you do geometry over the summer, then you will take Algebra 2 as a 9th grader. So that's a lot. So just keep that in mind. And that also means, so something else that students forget to consider is that, let me go back to this chart over here, is that if you come in all the way at the beginning, if you come into Algebra 2 as a 9th grader, you must do 3 years of math. So you must do one more. You must finish all the way up here. You are going to have to do Algebra 2, and then you can do like CP stats and AP stats, but you have to take 3 years on our campus. So that's also something to consider when you accelerate. Because some students accelerated too much. They're in Algebra 2 as freshmen, and they're like, I don't want to do any more math. Well, you have to do 2 more years. So it's just something to really keep in mind. Okay.
Just June 11th is the start of summer school, or June 10th? There seems to be some.
I think it's June 9th. I think it's that Friday. It's a Friday.
Got it.
Yeah. I think these are all being answered already. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of repeats, so I'm sorry if I'm not answering yours directly, but I'm just answering them. Do you see anything that's different, Maria? They're all, I think, saying the same thing. Yes, the math NWEA on the 4th and the 14th is only for those interested in the accelerated program. If not, they will do the test, the NWEA, in STA. So they will do it, they just will not do it on the 4th. Okay. I'm not seeing other questions. At this point, I may ask that someone asked, okay, dates and times. So let me just go back to that one again.
I was going to ask that.
Okay. I think this one is for the testing. Let me fix the 6. I'm sorry. I had multiple dates everywhere and I tried to fix everything. So that is for the testing. That's the same testing for everybody. And over here. And then this is the best one for summer school. So I'll go back to testing, but this is the best one for summer school. I hope I have my August date correct. I think I do.
Double checking your June 11th date.
Okay. I was like, I thought I checked them. Oh, it's June 10th?
Yes.
Sorry. I'll blame Mr. Tarzinski because I did check with him. Okay. Are those, I think those. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so that's the summer school and STA schedule. So if they're just doing STA, then they will just do July 1 through July 19th, and it's till 12:30, I believe, or somewhere around there. It's around 12:30. So it's 8 to 12:30 for those 3 weeks. and they have the 4th and the 5th off.
There are several parents asking about the June 10th start date because some LUSD schools do not end till after June 10th. Please just reach out to us.
Yeah.
You should have our emails. I was part of what emailed you back, and then the email you can respond to is the Office of Instruction, or you can respond to me directly. If your child is in that position, we understand, we're going to accommodate that. Just let us know so that we can make a note of that.
Yeah, and that's one of the only, that definitely has happened in the past, and that's one of the few things that has been allowed. So just, yeah, let us know individually. Come for the testing, then make the decision, and we can talk about the dates. So we really don't need to know until after you kind of make those decisions after the test.
There's a few parents asking what the point of accelerating is. That's a choice that you can make. It's not a requirement to take the test to accelerate, to participate as of June 10th. The requirement is July 1st. That you can make a choice of starting on June 10th if you are going to be part of the acceleration program. Some parents and students decide that they want their student to be in calculus by the time they're in their senior year, but currently they're in 8th grade math. If you're in 8th grade Common Core math and you want to get to calculus, you may need to accelerate in some form so that you get there in 4 years. So if your desire is to take higher level math by your senior year, that's when the choice is made to accelerate. Or if you're currently already in those classes.
I see the confusion, so I'm trying to fix that.
All right, let me see if I see any more questions.
Do you see anything? It looked like the same question. So again,
if you are unable to make the May 4th, this is why we offer the 14th, yes. If you are choosing to have your student accelerate.
Yeah, again, that's completely up to you. And again, it has to be a family decision because, you're stuck here for the summer. And so, and again, we don't know your students yet. So it really needs to be, we're trying to give you the most information to make the best decision, but it really has to be something that you guys need to discuss as a family and choose.
There is no sign-in sheet. This is really important information, but we are not tracking attendance. Your GHC ID number should have been provided by your counselor. If you have not been in to see the counselor, I would connect with your point of contact during your enrollment process to see where you are with that.
I do see this one. My daughter's going into Algebra 2. Again, no, if you're not accelerating, you do not need to come in for the extra dates to test at all. So if you are not accelerating, you do not need to show up for those. Just show up for STA and we'll get our information then. Okay. I think, is that it? Okay, if we didn't get your question, there's a lot of questions here. If we didn't get it, please feel free to email the Office of Instruction, myself. I'll put my email back up here. And we'll get back to you as soon as we can, or send you to the right place if it's not. If it's anything about other classes scheduling, please, contact your counselor.